Okay, so an introduction to exponents and logs. It's going to be very essential that we know some of our basic stuff from the past. Okay, so exponentially, if you have something to a zero exponent, we should always know that rule is 1, right? We also should know the rule of exponent 1. So anything raised to the power of 1 should be itself. Okay, so it's just going to stay at 2. The rest of the 2 bases, you should just have them memorized because, again, you don't have a calculator in your exam, so they're expecting you to have 2 squared is 4. 2 cubed is saying 2 times 2 times 2, which is now 8. 1632. So those ones probably should be memorized. Okay, you should be able to do those efficiently. Okay, negative exponents. You started this in grade 10, so you should remember the rules. What does a negative exponent mean? It means move it to the other location of its fraction. So that was on a top, so I'm going to move it to a bottom. So this would be 1/16. So what would this be? You'd have to move it. So it would just be 1/6. And this last one, so if I do a move, it would be a positive 3 exponent on the top. And that's also one you should have memorized. 2 cubed is the value of 27. Okay, so that's something you should have memorized a little bit. Okay, so this was also a grade 10 rule. Okay, a square root is the exact same thing as doing an exponent of, do you remember? A half, yep. Okay, which is 3. So the cubed root would be 27 to the, now can you maybe guess that? 1/3. Okay, that means the same thing. So that's 3. And so if I do the 4th root, it is the exact same thing as doing a quarter exponent. Okay, so we have been doing this for all of our math career. We've been doing exponential stuff. So an exponential equation looks like this. 3 squared equals 9. Okay, so what is it doing? It's telling you, here's a base. Let's repeat it some exponential time, and our brain has been giving us a result, an output. Okay? That's what you've been doing numerous times throughout your math career. So we're going to start to learn about what a log is, and it's the reverse. So you're always answering me the result when you're answering me an exponential equation. So now when we work for a log, you're going to have to always figure out what the exponent is instead. Okay, so here's how a log works. Log with a base, I will give you the result, and you're going to tell me, hey, here's the exponent. Okay, so you're working backwards in your brain. Okay, so here we go. What is your brain going to be mapping out? So this is the base. This is the result. So I'm trying to think about what the exponent is. Okay, if you're trying to think about it visually, 3 to the something equals 27. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Base 3, some kind of exponent would get me to 27. So this answer is 3. Okay, so this one has that's the base, that's the result. So what would it look like? 16 to some exponent gets you to 4. And the answer is 1/2. Because it's a square root of 16 that gets me there. So here's this one, would go, the 8 is the base. I'm going to be thinking about that and trying to figure out what needs to be up here. That's what I'm thinking about. This one's a little bit tricky. We did this rule at the top. Did you answer 1/3? Okay. Why? Because the cubed root. It's a cubed root. So this one looks like base 8. We're going to figure that out. What gets me to the fraction 1/64? Okay, so I'm already going to think negative because it flipped me to the bottom. So negative and 2. Because squared, 8 squared. Okay, the next one, your brain's going to go 9 to something. So this is what I'm thinking about, what would need to be the exponent. So it flipped me to the bottom. So -1. And the last one, the base is 6, and we came out with a 1. So what would the exponent need to be up here? 0. Okay, so this is graphing. I'm going to skip graphing for today. I want to jump Okay, so you have your two forms. So we always have exponential looks like this, where you're going to know the base, you're going to know the exponent, and you're always going to be telling me about the result. Versus log form is going to look like this. Log, I'm going to give you the base, I'm going to give you the result, and then you're going to be backwards telling me what's the exponent now. Okay, so we're going to have to figure out how to change the forms between. So if I give you a log, can you change it, and can you change it back? So I've done the first one for you. Okay, so the second one is going to go log of, I always say baby base. So the base of this is 4. The result was 2. So then what's the exponent? Okay, now vice versa, log to exponential. So base 2 to exponent 7 equals 128. Okay, see if you can get the next two on your own. See if you can get the next two on your own. Yeah, you always have to read it like that. Okay. Estimating a value of a log. So again, what are we doing? We're trying to figure out what's the exponent. Okay? This is not a perfect one, right? 2 to something is not going to get you to 40. So it's going to be decimally. So this is an estimate, and they're expecting 1 decimal place on these because it's an estimate. Okay, so here's what my brain is going to do. 2 is the base. I'm trying to think of the exponent, and in this case, they called it an x. So we're going to try to guess what it is. So what do I know? I know 2 cubed is 27, right? I know that. No, is 8. Wow. 3 cubed. What else do I know? 2 to the 4th is 16. 2 to the 5th is 32. What's 2 to the 6th? Does anybody know without their calculator? 64. Okay. So 40 is somewhere between there. So my exponent is somewhere between there. So somewhere between a 5 and a 6. So we're going to go x, because it told me x. I'm going to go approximately equal to, that's a new symbol maybe, approximately equal to 5 point, and you need 1 decimal place. So what maybe makes more sense? 5 point low numbers or 5 point high numbers? Low? 5.2? Does that make sense? Something in there? I'm not going to show you how I did this, but that's the exponent. So we were pretty close. Okay, why do people get that question wrong on the test? They tell me this. They go, they do that. Okay? That's not what I want. All I want you to do is the exponent. What's the exponent? So if you tell me 2 to the 5.2, that's not just telling me the exponent. Okay? That's like me saying, hey, Katie, what's your first name? And then you're like, Katie Friesen. No, you didn't answer my question, okay? You gave me too much info. Okay, let's figure this one out. So what am I doing here? I'm trying to figure out what kind of number would give me that. So what do I know? I know 2 squared is 36. 2 cubed is 216. So are we going to say 125 is in that zone? So the zone that my exponent is in is between 2 and 3. I am not going to write x this time. Guess why? It didn't give me x. Here it did, so I write x. Here it doesn't, so I don't write x. I'm just going to write, what's the exponent? 2.6. something. You said 7? Is that what you wanted to do? 2.7. Okay. Oh, good guess. Okay, solving some equations. We're going to call this in log form right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch it. Can you write this switched? Give me exponential form. So I need you to go this base to this exponent equals this result. Can you write that down for me? Switching the forms. It's in log form. So the base to the exponent equals the result. So 25 equals that. Okay, so we just switched the form and then we solved. Here's something we need to understand as well. Whatever your result is, has to be positive. Your result of a log has to be positive. Okay, so 6 is okay. 6 makes it positive. Okay, same thing. Can you do a rearrange? So what's the base to what's the exponent equals what result? Okay, so this is what I'm doing, figuring out what's the base, exponent, result, and just moving it around. Okay, so your grade 11 skills are here. So on this one, I isolated. Okay, I isolated that. You're not going to do that here. What are you going to do instead of isolation? Equals 0. There we go. I recognize it now. Looks like a factor. Okay, you do have to always check your answer. Does it stay positive? So if I went -9 squared, 81, and then it would be subtract 45, we're still positive. And 4 plugging in there, still positive. If it is not positive, you would have to reject your answer. Okay, show your answer. Show the rejection of that answer. Okay, let's rearrange this. So tell me what's the base, exponent, results. I'm going to change it to exponential form. Okay, so here's my goal. I would like to just get x. In other words, I'd like to get x to a 1, right? Just an x is an x to a 1. So I'm going to do this. Would that make an exponent 1? So I'm also going to do that over here. Okay, you did this in grade 10. You have two choices. Do you want to go 27 to the 4th and then cube root your answer? Do you want to do that without a calculator? No. What if I did the cube root of 27 and then to the 4th? Would that maybe be better numbers? Okay, because this is doing something to the 4th and this is doing a cube root of something. Do you think the order of those two things matter? No. Okay, so I'm going to pick that. So what's the cubed root of 27? 3. And then what's 3 to the 4th? So what's 3 times 3 times 3 times 3? 81. Okay, and you're going to notice today that I am not going to touch my calculator at all for any of these questions that I'm doing. Okay, I'm on page 8. I'm on page 8, so finding this one. Okay, so here's the question. If log 2x equals 4, page 8 in the working book? No?
Yeah. The very bottom.
The very bottom of page 8? No? Yeah? Okay.
Right under the title.
So this is where you're starting out. Page 8 is the start out of these examples that we're doing today. Okay, so can you figure out what x is? Rearrange that thing. Rearrange it. What's the base? What's the exponent? So what's the result? That's the result. So 2 to the 4th is what? 16. Okay? Therefore, all right, from that, I know x is 16. Okay, now go to the next statement. If now we know that x is 16, I know x is 16. So log 2 of 32. And you need to figure that out. So what is your brain going to do? Figure out the exponent this time. So 2 to something gets you up to 32. What is that value going to be? Anybody know the exponent that does that? 5. Okay, and it's a multiple choice question too, isn't it? Okay, page 9. Can you find this question? Okay, you're not allowed to touch calculators today either. Okay, so I'm not sure the number, but everybody, question 6. Okay, so this is kind of funny, but now there's nothing in that base little spot, is there, on that? Okay. There's a secret there. There's a secret number there. Anybody want to guess what the common base theme of numbers is? 10. Okay? So in a log, if there is nothing there, it's secretly a 10. So here's what you need to answer me. You're trying to estimate what could that exponent be. Trying to estimate it. Okay? Would you agree with me that that exponent is higher than 2? Because 10 squared is 100. 10 cubed is 1,000. So, what is the exponent? 2 point, you gotta just take a guess. And it's multiple choice.
2, 2.5, 2.8.
So whichever one makes the most sense. 2, 2.5, 2.8, or 3. So it's not 2 for sure, because 2 is exactly 100. So where would you want to be? On the lower end. 350 is lower in between those numbers. Okay, and then this is the last one I'm going to do with you here. Okay, you're adding these numbers together. So 2 to the what would be 40. Can you get me an approximate thing? Yeah. Two to the what equals 40. So 5 point something. Your exponent would have to either be between a 5 and a 6 somewhere, because 40 is between those, so you're between 5 and 6. Okay, 5 to the what is 125. That one's perfect. You don't have to estimate that one. That's a precise one. 5 cubed is 125. So this is another multiple choice, I believe, and doesn't it just say what's the closest answer? So if you add those, it's just above 8. So I think something like that is one of those answers, right?
Mm-hmm.